To the next presentation of the day, let me hand it over to Saurabh. Saurabh is a part of Anibrain. Like you would have known, Anibrain's been a visual effects company for over a decade and does some of the most amazing visual effects content for Hollywood studios, right? They have state-of-the-art infrastructure. They are certified by people like Marvel and Disney. And without too much ado, let me ask Saurabh to share with us how have they been using this amazing visual content they've been creating and their experience for the past 10 years of creating that and started creating virtual reality based content with that information. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Shekhar. Very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for being here. It's a real pleasure to be addressing each one of you. I'd also like to thank Autodesk for organizing such a great event. I truly believe it's going to be invaluable to all of us working professionals and students because it's an opportunity for us to interact with each other, understand each other's thought process, and see all the great work that's coming out of India. Just to let you know a little about myself, my name is Saurabh Dalmiya. I head up business development at Anibrain, so I'm the guy who does all the talking, but when it comes to the real work, I'm absolutely useless. A little about Anibrain, I think we like to see ourselves as a world-class story and experience creation company because we believe that at the end of the day, everything that we do is about telling stories. When we go and apply for a job, we are telling a story. When we go and ask a girl out, we are telling a story about ourselves, we're selling an image about ourselves. So it's all about story and experience. We started out about a little more than a decade in 2006 with two people. The goal was very simple. India was known as a place that could only do roto and maybe not also very good at it. And we thought to ourselves, why can't we be an Indian company using Indian people and be world class and just happen to be out of India? I think our journey has been very, very kind to us. Today we are over 750 people. We worked on over 150 films, supported 5 films that have been nominated for the Academy Awards. And when I talk about the journey, I have to mention Autodesk. The reason being a lot of the great work that we create, a lot of the great stories that we create are only possible because of the cutting edge tools that Autodesk provides us in tools like Maya, 3ds Max, and this journey would not be possible without them. While we have achieved a lot in film, and we feel also that this gives us a distinct advantage when we do VR, AR, interactive, or whatever else you want to call it, because film has the most demands when it comes to visuals. It has to be photoreal, it has to be lifelike, and the amount of time, energy, budgets put in film is more than anything else. And having the ability of creating these photoreal assets for some of the best films, we have now learned how to use that quality and then optimize it for real-time engines so that it takes less space, it's quicker, you are able to view it real-time, but you still have that fun and finesse of watching something photoreal. You know, one of the toughest things to do is to stay relevant. It's easy to achieve success, it's harder to maintain it, but it's very tough when you are used to doing something to understand that the world as you know it is changing. And at Anibrain, we have always focused on what the future is going to be, and we invest a lot in research and development. And because of this practice of ours, we've been toying with VR, AR since the very nascent stage. And we've been very, very lucky that today we are working with some of the biggest brands, whether it's, you say, they're engineering companies, real estate, pharmaceuticals, automotive. We've had the pleasure of going to businesses, understanding their problems, and providing a solution that provides tangible results. So I would just like to show you a quick interactive reel of ours, and then we'll discuss a little more. For some reason we are not getting the audio, but we carry on? I think we'll carry on. So sorry about the audio, but that's another work we asked on. Now I could get technical. I mean, it's hard since I'm a business development guy, so I found a nice maneuver around it. I said, let's not talk technical pipelines and all of that. Let's get to the very core, right? Let's take music. Early on there used to be vinyl, then you used to have cassettes, then you had CDs, today you have MP3s. But music is music, right? That hasn't changed. Today you have VR, AR, interactive. Tomorrow VR could change into something else. AR could not be there. But the most important thing is the experience of the content. So guys, the most critical, okay, I'll wait for you guys. Yeah. So the most critical aspect of virtual reality is the art. I don't need audio. Sorry. I don't know whether to get angry or to smile or to just do both. So the most critical aspect of virtual reality is the art of building and great experience. And the most critical aspect of this great experience is, any guesses? The user. The user is always the key, and users do not remember events. They only remember experiences. Look back into your life and see how many experiences you remember versus how many things that you've read or heard about. An experience does something to you emotionally, which stays with you, which really connects with you. And that experience is the most important thing to create a good content that reaches out to people and connects with them. So if the user is the most important part of it, then it's imperative that you know your user very, very well. So how do we define the user? The most important aspect about any user is that he or she is bloody lazy, okay? Don't give them a steep learning curve. They have a lot to do in their life. When they come on, they want to understand it and get on with it. So don't overcomplicate their lives. The user is also intuitive. We may not realize, but there are things that we are used to doing, or there are things that we are psychologically attracted to naturally. So if you have a dark image and a bright image, your eyes will automatically go to the bright image. If you have something static versus something moving, you will look at the movement first. So use these things about a person and their traits to be able to create something that's intuitive and they feel that it's natural. Third, the user wants simplicity. Give them what they want and only what they want. Don't give them things to show how smart you are or how smart we can be. Let's stick to the fundamentals and what's important. And finally, if they are going to be spending their time in your experience, they need to be wowed. So please, please take the effort to wow them. They deserve that. The ultimate question at Anibrain is, how do you want your users to feel? At Anibrain, we ask ourselves this question every moment of creating any experience, because we do not want to be a developer. We want to be the world's best creators of experiences, and for that you have to ask, what is my experience doing for the user? How is it making the user feel? How is it value adding to the user? I hope you will keep this in mind when you try and create something new. I say, let's give the users an experience of a lifetime. Every time they see any experience, a few things they should feel is a sense of wonder. Wow, this is great. This is something that's not the norm. It is adding to either my knowledge or to my wants or to something in my life to be spending that time there, right? They should be emotionally engaged, you know. At the end of the day, we are emotional people. We might say we are intelligent or whatever, but we work on emotions. You don't buy a Ferrari because of every technical detail. You buy it because of the excitement it gives you. It tells you a story. It connects you to a legacy. It's an emotion. So give them an experience that can engage them emotionally. And awake their curiosity. Make them curious enough to explore. Your experience has to be good enough that they want to explore it. We work a lot with one of our favorite companies, Framestore, and they made this VR experience which I think is fantastic on many levels. I'm going to show it to you first and then discuss with you, but I think this is what VR, AR, interactive should be. Oh, we need the audio for this, guys, right? Oh, can we just put the mic? I told you I was a business guy.
It was probably the craziest request I've ever received.
When I first heard about the project, my reaction was, this is absolute nuts. But it was so cool that I wanted to be on it from the start.
We had to invent a group VR experience. I mean, how the hell do you turn an entire bus into a headset?
They wanted to put school kids on a bus and make it feel as if they were driving on Mars.
When you come on to the bus, you can look out the windows. As the experience begins, what you see out the windows now transitions to the surface of Mars. In order to pull this off, we had to figure out how to create this experience of a bus driving through Mars. And the first thing we had to solve was, how do we do this? And we determined that we would do it in game engine, and we used Unreal to do that.
The Unreal Engine is a physically based renderer, meaning that it wants to simulate the real world perfectly. To enable us to simulate the Martian environment, that brought its own set of challenges where we had to go in and tweak stuff and art direct stuff to try and coerce the physically based engine into the look that we wanted for the Mars landscape.
When the bus is driving down the road at 30 miles an hour, you are moving 30 miles an hour on Mars. So you go over a bump, what you see on the screen moves according to what you're feeling inside the bus. When you turn left and when you turn right, you turn left and right on Mars.
How do you take a huge landscape where we can take the bus and drive it anywhere? So the way to execute that was to have a system where we could render Mars in real time. The drivable area that we created was 250 square miles.
We mapped every street in Washington, D.C. on the surface of Mars. So wherever we started the experience, you would start off on that exact same road at that exact same intersection on Mars. And to accurately drive the surface of Mars, we used a combination of GPS, 3-axis accelerometer, magnetometer, and a laser surface velocimeter. There is a laser, absolutely. What that laser does is one simple job. It It points a laser down on the ground and it tells you how far you've gone forward or backward. It does one thing very, very well. We had to invent a way for transparent windows to become high-def displays. It's achieved by a box that we created that contains a 4K transparent display and then a layer of switchable film. The switchable film goes from clear to opaque, and then the display turns into Mars.
We all knew that the screens needed to be transparent. It's a brand new technology. It's not generally available anywhere in the world. We had them made both in China and Korea. They actually literally hand-built these screens.
There's no goggles, there's no headset. They could point out things to the friends that they were seeing, or the friends were showing them something they were seeing. So they were getting a more immersive experience. They were getting more perspective than just a normal VR experience.
In traditional VR, you would just be sitting with the headset on, and there's no 4D interaction. There's no movement. Unless you build an entire environment like that. You need the movement, you need air blowing on you, you need something happening to create that experience. Let's not forget audio here. Audio is crucial to this experience. In this experience, we have a bus going through a sandstorm. Without hearing that sandstorm surrounding you, feeling it in the subwoofers, feeling it coming from left and right, it would not be a good experience. You don't just see Mars out the window. You feel it and you hear it. You're surrounded by this virtual reality we've created.
And in all honesty, I think the moment that we knew it was going to work was when we took the bus out and we turned it on and crossed our fingers, and it worked. And it was the moment I realized that we're going to take the kids to Mars. I think what makes it magical is that when the bus starts moving, all of the hardware and software disappears and it just feels like you're on Mars.
Yeah, I mean, it was amazing to see, for me, when we hit the road and everything would come together and all the systems were firing, and you saw the kids who were transported, and just seeing their faces was amazing.
This was certainly a big risk. As I say, Lockheed, McCann's and ourselves took on, but we all worked together to bring off what was a phenomenal experience.
I mean, I was over the moon, or over Mars, about how it turned out. The fusion of everything, of the art and the engineering, and just the sheer brain power to put that experience together was amazing.
In many ways, this is a perfect example of what an experience should be. It should be simple. Do you think the kids give two hoots about what technology is put in it? No. What's important is that they feel they're on Mars, they're able to interact, they're able to laugh, they're able to enjoy, they're able to learn. The rest of it doesn't matter. And that's what we have to keep in mind. Guys, keep it simple. As Shekhar said, virtual reality is very easy. Creating a good experience in virtual reality is very, very tough. You have to get a thorough knowledge of your tools, and remember, less is always more. But once you get that knowledge, you have to leave it behind and just focus on the experience. A couple of pointed questions that we need to ask is whether what we are creating, is it a gimmick? Or is it taking a challenge that a business is facing, or a brand is facing, or an educational institute is facing, and then solving it with tangible results? Are we going to create gimmicks? Because gimmicks have a very limited shelf life and they have no use. I think for virtual reality, it's a very interesting space for all of this technology. It's a bit like cinema. When it started, they went and they recorded a train coming right towards you, and they would play it in a theater, and audiences would run the first time, second time, but then the novelty wore off, and they said that film had no future. Till editing came about, and they realized that if you showed a house burning and a person running, and even if they were not correlated and joined them, it looked like because the house was burning, the person was running away. Similarly, let's find the best language for this technology, and in order to do that, we must focus on the experience, the user, and tangible results. I would also say another thing. It's very easy to be caught up when you're creating an experience and adding more than what's required. I think at every step you've got to look at it and say, okay, what is my objective? What is my purpose for this experience? Am I putting images, things, graphics, audio that is taking away from it? and be very, very true to that experience and remove everything that takes away or distracts the user from the actual purpose of the experience. I would like to show you a few other examples of works that we have done, and I'd like to start with this forging company, one of the world's biggest forging companies. Now, like most companies, they had several challenges. Their first challenge was how do we increase our efficiencies. Their second challenge was how do we reduce human error. Their third challenge was how do we create master operators, and how do we have a smart factory solution. So I will just give you a very quick sneak peek into certain things that this technology can be used to overcome. So now, using these Oculus pointers, we can go up and we can select Explore, Maintenance, Assembly. So let's go into Explore, and Mukesh, if you can show us the explored view. So this is the machine. Once we click on it, it explodes and opens up into all its various components. Now imagine if you were a guy working on this machine, or you had to be trained to work on this machine. Would you be rather staring at a black and white manual, or would you rather be interacting with each individual part? Now, you can take, using the orange laser, each individual part, rotate it, look at it, understand how it looks, what is it called, what is the purpose, and you can add as many functionalities as you need to. Now, bear in mind, guys, that this is a factory solution. It is not an Oscar film. You do not need to spend so much time that it becomes unaffordable for people and inaccessible because they have thousands and thousands of training process. So you've got to realize the ultimate aim is to train and not to have a visual fiesta here. Now Mukesh, can we go and see the X-ray view? So a lot of the engineers there, or the operators, they see the machine as is, but they don't have an understanding of the machine and how it looks from inside and what are the various components. So here, people can go and they can click and see layer by layer, like peeling an onion, as to what this machine consists of, what those parts do, which parts are the most important, which parts have wear and tear. You can customize this to do anything. Can you go to assembly, please? So now if you go to assembly in manual mode, manual. So all the parts are laid out for you, and the part highlighted in orange is the first part that you need to assemble. So you can pick up that part, and then it tells you what that part is, and you see the orange subsequent place, that's where you're supposed to put it. So for guys who are training in installation, they can be sitting in a training room rather than the machine having downtime when they are training. The machine can be producing, and they can have as much of a lifelike interaction with the machine that expedites their learning, that gives them a full understanding and allows them to become master operators much sooner. Can we go in the automated vehicle? Now here, it automatically takes up the parts and starts assembling it bit by bit. So let's say if you've done it a couple of times and you just want to revise, it's an easier tool, it's a less taxing tool on you, where you can just quickly revise all the various parts. Mukesh, can we go to the main menu, please? We've also added analytics to this entire thing. Now, machines, today with the technology we have, with creating all of this, why can't we make machines smart? Why does a machine have to break down before we realize, okay, this part is wearing out? Why do we have to have downtime? Why can't we put various sensors and create systems where the machine is able to tell you that, listen, I need this changed, or I need this fixed, or the temperature is too high, or the pressure is too low, and we are able to react to it before it causes a financial damage. Additionally, we also gamify this because people like to interact, people are social. So when this guy is working on, say, an engineer or an operator is working on it, we can have another operator and they can then see what his score is versus what my score is, and it creates a little bit of healthy competition and fun, when the whole day is going to be mundane and on a hot factory floor. So this is what we do for businesses, forging industries. I would like to now show you something we've done in real estate. It's a desktop app. We still think it's virtual reality. You don't need to have a headset to be for virtual reality according to us. What's really interesting about this is we spend a lot of time trying to figure out how many customizations should we allow. Because the guy is selling a house, right? He's not an interior designer. So beyond a certain point, customizations are going to distract you from the actual physical space. So customizations, we decided, should be only to the point of where a person can overall see how that space is applicable to them or how they would like to live in it, but not to the extent where you are changing your curtains, you're changing sanitary wares and flooring to every minute detail, because that is a separate application and we didn't want to mix the two. So here the visuals have to look great, and I also need to mention that even though we use Unreal, all our assets are made in Maya, because I think Maya gives us a lot more ability to make them photoreal, and then they are optimized for Unreal. So now this is the living room. You can turn around, see the entire space. It also gives you certain configurations. So Mukesh, if you go into the bedroom, right there. So you walk in, you have this dining space, you have a powder room, and then you have a bedroom. However, if you don't want the bottom to be a bedroom and you would like to have a separate, like a TV area, you can just click on the customization and it will show you an alternate way to use this space. It's going to take a bit of time to load. And there you go, that same space is now completely evolved into another space. So it's showing people, a person A might want a bedroom, but whereas a smaller family who don't need so many bedrooms might want a television room, and it shows them exactly what the space can do. You can even go and see dimensions of the space. You can see where you are in the entire floor plan. So it allows you to get a full sense of the entire living space. Can we go to the master bedroom? So now, Mukesh, can you turn around and show them the various views of the master bedroom? Let's show them the study. So over here, if you see, we have a walk-in closet, and then we have a small study where a person can sit and do his office work or whatever. However, if you don't need this to be a study and you need an additional set of wardrobes, you can quickly see how the space is optimized to give you a wardrobe and have a feel of how much area is going to be taken. So I'll just give you a quick demo of that. So the customizations are there, but they are very, very clear for people to understand space, not to be doing interior decoration, which is going to be the next tab that we create for these guys, where once they buy the flat, then they can play a lot more with the interiors. So that's the wardrobe. Let's go on top. As you see, this is quite a large bedroom on top again. Again, if you don't need such a big bedroom, you have two customization options in which the builder can give you the space. So the first one, we'll just load up. Now you have a gym, and if you turn around, you have a small seating area. So, yeah. So that's one option. And then the third option is for athletic people like me, our favorite sport, snooker, which requires very little physical exertion. Oh, this is a music room. Okay, where's the snooker room? So you can have like a music room and okay, doesn't matter. We won't go into more of it. And then you have this small thing here. So it's like, you know, that's your outdoor balcony where you can sit and relax with friends or in the evening. And you have a small room here which can either be into a pantry. Or, you know, if you don't want to have a small like bed for the help, you can also customize it into a pantry, though I won't show you that, you get the point. I would like to show you the human cell. We are working on this experience, it's still not completed. It's about a journey inside a human cell. Once the experience is completed, we are going to add voiceovers, text, the ability for a person to stop, hold a particular component of or aspect of the cell, look at it from all angles, and we believe that this will revolutionize how people study, how doctors learn, and how medical training can completely be turned around. In fact, we just did our first 360-degree breast cancer surgery as well, and you know, I think it's a huge opportunity to not only improve learning, but to also make a huge impact on serious problems and solve them. It's like you're inside a human cell. Imagine how amazing it would be for a young child to have the ability to go inside a cell and see mitochondria or whatever else it is that I don't know, because I didn't have this when I was growing up, so I don't remember. But it would be awesome. Yeah. And then you can add voiceovers, you can add text, and really, really impact the way we are educating people, because I think education is essential. And if we can make it experiential, we can make it fun, we can make it engaging. I think the talent and the skills that we provide will make a huge difference in every sphere of our lives. And finally, I'm not going to bore you more, I'm just going to show you one more experience we made for this company called ACG. They're one of the world's largest capsule manufacturers. And the whole idea was that, you know what, we make capsules, but how do we get someone to understand what is it we do? Even our own clients don't understand what our machines do and what the various processes are. So we created two experiences for them. One was actually like a VR ride where you go with the capsule into a person's body and see how that capsule kind of starts functioning within the system. We don't have the ride, so maybe it's not the best thing to show. But I'll show you the various stages of granulation that a capsule goes through. So it's got leap motion built into VR. So you know, Mukesh's hands, they appear on screen, and he's able to then control stuff accordingly. But we're having a technical glitch. Just try and use one hand. Alright, there you go, 2 hands. So, again, if you look around, it tells you various instructions. As I said, the user is lazy. Set the ground rules, let them understand what they need to do. So you see the instructions here. Now, Mukesh, if you turn around to the other side, it tells you touch button to teleport up. So you start the experience right at the top. Now, once you're here, the hotspots are marked in sequential order so that you're very clear where you need to start. So if you click the first part, it shows you the seal design. It's asking you very clearly, touch to open it. And there you see where the granulation process actually happens, right? Now let's go to the second part. So now you can see that's the chamber through which the raw materials and active ingredients come and go into the granulation machine for the process to start. And you can actually see how that machine functions. So buyers, when they are seeing 20 machines to buy, and you go into an industry event and salespeople are trying to explain to you and show you a diagram versus you are giving a buyer this experience, who do you think is going to succeed? So now we are down. And similarly, we can keep on going on in this process, but I'm not going to take more time because I feel that the point is pretty clear. All I would like to say is, guys, in order to make a great experience, you've got to treat yourself like the ultimate user and ensure that it is giving you the maximum satisfaction when you use it yourself and it is solving a purpose in the best possible manner. We need to conquer the medium and go beyond it. We always suggest spend as little time on your computers and go out there and be inspired. Go to a museum, go to theatre, go to music and see how things happen and try to incorporate all of that into your experiences. I think it's really, really important to play, to be curious, to take a thing, to turn it upside down. Imagine if this weren't this way, could I do it in another way? See things from a different perspective. Very, very important to have childlike curiosity. I think it's really beautiful and it's really, really important in creating great experiences. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been my absolute pleasure to have addressed you and thank you so much for your patience. I encourage each one of you to go beyond machine and technology, forget AR, VR, whatever else it is. Dream, imagine, execute. Remember, the Olympic medal was not won on the track. And I would like to end by saying, our time has come. India has the opportunity. India has the best infrastructure and tools thanks to companies like Autodesk. But most importantly, India has you, the best talent. Let's make India one of the best visual hubs in the world. It's our time. Thank you.
Alright, so big thanks to Saurabh and Mukesh for that awesome presentation on the possibilities of VR, and also Anibrain. So we'll take a couple of questions. We just have time for about 2 questions. So we'll take this guy. We'll come back to you. So can we get a mic there?
Hi, my name is Mahi. I'm a product and experience designer student. So I want to ask, I know the importance of a content for any visual medium, and especially like VR and AR. But don't you feel the content creation has a bottleneck due to the hardware? Because if you're looking of more photorealistic rendering, you need a huge workstation there, and it has to be tethered. Once a person is going into tethering, and when Mukesh was trying with the leap motion, he's almost like touching the screen and hitting on it. Like, don't you feel there is a bottleneck of hardware, and that creates an limitation for the content creations?
I think you've asked a great question. You asked me this question because I did my thesis on something very similar in university when I was doing film editing. My thesis was constraints leads to creativity. Okay, I'll try and answer your question by going into a different medium. into films. I think most of you here have seen Jaws.
Yeah.
It is one of the most scary films. You don't want to swim after seeing that film for months. And how much do you see the shark? And when you see other films like Deep Blue Sea or whatever else, where you see sharks all the time, it becomes a joke. So, let's go into a horror genre. One of my scariest films, Exorcist, Shining. You know, simple stuff, not too much happening, but the experience gets inside you. It keeps you out, and it still doesn't look dated. So if you get the experience right, it doesn't matter whether the hardware is still not up to power. I mean, you can even go back to Walt Disney times and see Tom and Jerry or Chip and Dale, and those 2D cartoons with basic, you know, will still be much better than if I created a 3D version of the same thing, because I would not understand how to, the rhythm, the pace, the story, the experience. So there will always be constraints, but you play with them and always keep your experience, you hold it like your child and make sure that that is not ever impacted. I hope that makes sense.
Thank you.
One last question. We have time for one last question. So we can just pass it over there.
I have like a two-part question. My first is like the one about the mechanics of the thing.
Which one?
The second one, he showed how the parts come together.
Okay, yeah.
So how long do you think before that would be used, like put in institutes around the country? Like.
Well, that's a tough question. I hope it's done immediately. We will grow as a company, but things take a while for people to adapt and for them to understand, and rightly so. Change is good, but if you change everything in one day, it creates a lot of havoc. The change is happening, and what's really interesting for us as a company is that we found that people are very open to it. They want to explore. Doctors want to explore, teachers want to explore, businessmen want to explore, people want to explore. But as with anything new, it takes a while to find the language, it takes a while to understand how to change things, because you've already invested in an ecosystem and you have expertise in it, you have comfort in it. You can't change it immediately. You've got to slowly get things to acclimatize and change. But it's happening. I hope it happens soon. Thanks. All right.
So to say thanks to Anibrain, can I call on Aziz to pass on mementos to both Saurabh and Mukesh from Anibrain?
Thank you. I hope the chocolates.
We'll try and put in some chocolates there.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. Thanks. From this photograph, clearly I don't need much chocolates.